Music is central to our well-being. If you're listening here, chances are you feel the same. The Classical Post podcast uncovers the creativity that exists behind great music. We believe music is interconnected with other art forms and life experiences. It doesn't exist in a vacuum, but is often influenced by other sources. No matter who you are, cultivating your creativity is fundamental to being better in business and living a more holistic life. Discover more on this podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Eifert. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you find something valuable in this episode. For violinist Hilary Hahn, finding success as an international soloist has never been about sticking to the same menu of concertos by Beethoven, Mendelssohn, and Sibelius. Now in the fourth decade of her storied career, the three-time Grammy Award winner has consistently worked to expand the scope of the violin canon, commissioning a slate of new works from composers like Edgar Meyer, Jennifer Higdon, and Lyra Auerbach. But on Eclipse, her latest release on Deutsche Grammophon, the centerpiece of the album isn't a work written for her. In fact, it's not even by a living composer. It's the violin concerto of Alberto Ginastera, a work that's seldom performed and one Hahn immediately fell in love with when she first heard it years ago. Ever since then, she knew she had to record it. Part of the reason Hahn was eager to record the work was not only the chance to add to the concerto story with her performance, but also to allow everyone who listens to contribute their personal perspective to the work. In this discussion on the Classical Post podcast, we talk more about Eclipse and why another work on the album, Dvořák's Violin Concerto, deserves much more time in the spotlight as well. Plus, she shares how her wellness routine is all about tuning into the daily ebb and flow of her body, and the facial massage stone that helps her undo the neck and jaw tension that comes with years of playing the violin.
I'm Hilary Hahn. I'm a violinist, and I tour the world playing solos everywhere.
Let's talk about aesthetics outside of the music world. So, where do you find inspiration to create music itself? A lot of times people or the artists find inspiration from music, but I'm really curious outside of that music world.
I guess for me, my inspiration is people, the connections between people. I go to a lot of museums and look at the art that people have made over the centuries, and I listen to music from all genres. And I really like talking with people and learning what makes them click, especially in the creative process. I always translate what I learn into some form of inspiration for the music.
And if we were to think about fields of study outside of music again, like art, design, architecture, and fashion, are there any of those kind of creative industries that you derive inspiration specifically?
I would say visual arts. I think because I work with my hands to create something artistic, when I see something that someone else has made with their hands, I interpret what I see in almost a physical way. I see the physical traces of the art they made, and somehow that dimensionality translates in my mind into making music.
Describe a routine you have in place that helps you live a healthier life.
What I don't do enough of is sleep. That would be the thing that I would say would be the core to taking care of yourself. But I actually am very tuned into what my personal ebb and flow is, and I think that really helps. I actually, by performing, connect with what I'm going through. I sort through my feelings. I have an outlet for what I need to express when words aren't enough. And I do that with other people in the room, and I really connect and we share our experiences without necessarily talking about it. That for me shows me what's going on with me. So if I have a low energy day, I've now learned to play low energy till I work my way through it. Not like I play less or with less commitment, but I take slower tempi. I go deeper into the thoughtful, introspective parts of the music. And when it's a super adrenaline experience for me, I will just run with it. And that actually is how I take care of myself.
What is one specific product you highly recommend?
There's the trend of the stone face massagers, not the roller, but the shaped, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like a shaped, sort of semi-S shaped flat piece of stone. And I actually use it for facial massage at the end of the day. And it really helps me with my jaw and neck tension, which is just natural because playing the violin, I hold my face a certain way, I hold my head a certain way. I'm very connected through that part of my body to the work that I do, and it's also postural. And sometimes I just don't break out of that structure. So at the end of the day, I will do that, and it just feels so good, and it's very relaxing. It's part of my routine. But it also is a bit of body work that I can do. Oh, there's one more thing, actually. So when I'm traveling, something that always goes with me is this, I think they sometimes refer to it as a peanut. It's a physiotherapy tool, and it's basically just like you could do the same thing with 2 tennis balls and a sock. But if I'm sitting on an airplane for a long time or in a car, I'll position it against my back so that the pressure is on either side of my spine. And I'll just spend an hour just letting the motion of the car or the plane work its way into my muscles. And it makes me feel like I had a great rest, even if I was just sitting there awake.
Let's take a quick break. Did you know Classical Post is a brand built for your pleasure by Gold Sound Media, a New York creative studio developing content for music lovers around the United States? We're always looking for new opportunities to partner with music presenters, artists, and record labels. If you're interested in content to build your community, please get in touch. Head to goldsoundmedia.com. Now, back to the show. Tell us about the new Deutsche Grammophon album, Eclipse, that you just recorded. I'm really curious why you recorded this. So can you give us the kind of lay of the land of why you did this?
The album actually started years ago when I became obsessed with the violin concerto by Ginastera. I felt like it was one of those pieces that I needed to take on and I needed to play for my own reasons, and also that it wasn't played very much. So the fact that I was personally enamored of this work, felt like it was written for me, even though I never met the composer. It's exactly what I like to dive into emotionally in music. And it requires a very specific relationship to the instrument that I feel is a strength of mine. When I realized that this piece was for me, I then knew that it was just in my future to record it, so I might as well plan it as soon as possible. And I thought about which colleagues would be perfect for the project, where our strengths aligned, and who I could really dive into the things I love about this piece with. And I settled on these colleagues, Frankfurt Radio Symphony and Andres Orozco Estrada. The second I realized that was a possibility, it was the obvious choice for me. And then from there, I built the rest of the record based on the collaboration, what we do really well together, what we individually are passionate about, what we all enjoy sharing musically. So out of that came Dvořák Violin Concerto, which is not thought of as mainstream repertoire, but actually in a lot of people's experience as audience members is equally important to Sibelius, Mendelssohn, Tchaikovsky, equally popular, equally known, and equally loved. And so that one I wanted to record, but I just didn't quite know where it fit. And the second I knew I had this collaboration, I knew it belonged there. And when I was thinking about that, I thought, ooh, I've never learned Carmen. It's high time. I should add that. And these are the perfect people to develop an interpretation of Carmen with, because it's a super colorful set of musicians, really interested in detail and style and flair and gesture. And I just thought that would be so perfect for Carmen. And also, they've all had experience with the opera itself. How better to enter the Carmen fantasy than with those colleagues?
One last question. What do you want listeners to take away after listening to it? Is there just one thing you can say?
I would say that music is a way to connect you with your own experience. As a listener, you are part of the interpretation of that music's history. And I think whenever you practice a piece, you add to its life in the world, even if no one hears you play it. And it's the same when you listen to a piece. You add to the diversity of stories that it tells just by being present in its space. So simply by sitting and absorbing it, feeling what it makes you feel, moving through what it makes you feel, allowing it to show you what you want to understand, and just sit with that observation, I think that draws us all together as a community. So I hope you can just really allow the music to be what it wants to be for you, and understand that you are also part of this huge connected community.
Thanks for listening to the Classical Post podcast. I hope you have found it meaningful and that it gave you new ideas to cultivate your creativity to be better in business and life. So let's stay in touch. Remember to follow this podcast to get notified of new episodes, and sign up for our monthly newsletter for album recommendations and editorial on leading artists. Just head to classicalpost.com/subscribe.